As we begin the book of Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy, we find Moses standing at one of the most profound moments of his life. The Israelites are gathered on the plains of Moab, just across the Jordan River from the Promised Land. After 40 years of wandering, after slavery, revelation, rebellion, and countless moments of uncertainty, the destination is finally within sight. And yet, Moses knows something the people do not fully understand. He will not cross with them. The Torah tells us that Moses will die before entering the land. The leader who brought Israel out of Egypt, who stood at Sinai, who carried the burden of the people through the wilderness, will not personally experience the moment he spent his entire life working toward. I always felt this was an injustice. From a human perspective, this feels unfinished. We often measure success by completion. We celebrate reaching the goal, seeing the results, and witnessing the dreams we worked for to come to fruition. We want to finish the project, to achieve that vision, and know that our efforts have produced the outcome we hoped for. But Devarim teaches us a different understanding of what it means to finish well. Finishing well is not always the same as finishing completely. Moses' greatness is not diminished because he does not enter the land. In fact, his final days reveal the deepest lessons of his leadership. Instead of focusing on what he will miss, Moses focuses on what the people will need. He spends his remaining time teaching, reminding, warning, blessing, and preparing the next generation. Moses understands that the work of a leader is not only to accomplish a mission, but to prepare others to continue it. This is the wisdom behind Rabbi Tarfon's famous teaching in Pirkei Avot. It is not your duty to finish the work, but neither are you free to desist from it. Rabbi Tarfon reminds us that some of the most important tasks in life are too large for one person or even one generation to complete. Justice is never finished. Building community is never finished. Teaching Torah is never finished. Repairing the world is never finished. Every generation received unfinished work from those who came before, and every generation lives unfinished work for those who will follow. The Talmud captures this beautifully in the story of Honi the circle maker. Honi once saw an elderly man planting a carob tree. When Honi asked how long it would take before the tree produced fruit, the man replied, 70 years. 70 years! Honi wondered why someone would plant a tree whose fruit he would never eat. The man answered, when I entered this world, I found carob trees planted by my ancestors. Just as they planted for me, so I plant for my children. That farmer understood something essential about faith. He was willing to work for a future he would never personally experience. His planting was an act of hope. Moses was planting that same kind of tree, the Etz Chaim, the tree of life. The same lesson appears throughout history. Theodor Herzl dedicated his life to the dream of a Jewish state at a time when many considered it impossible. When he convened the First Zionist Congress in 1897, he imagined a future that he knew he might never see. Herzl died in 1904, decades before the establishment of the State of Israel. He never heard Hebrew spoken in the streets of a sovereign Jewish state. He never witnessed the fulfillment of the dream he helped inspire. Yet, millions of Jews today live in the reality that Herzl helped imagine. The same could be said of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In his final speech before his assassination, Dr. King reflected on Moses standing at the edge of the promised land. He said, "I've been to the mountaintop. I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I might not get there with you, but we as a people will get to the promised land." King understood that his role was not necessarily to see the fulfillment of the dream himself, but to help prepare the way for those who would come after him. Long before Herzl and long before Dr. King, there was Moses. At the end of his life, Moses could have looked back with disappointment. He could have focused on the fact that he would not cross the Jordan. Instead, he chose to bless the future. His final words were not words of regret. They were words of Torah. He spent his life in his final moments ensuring that the people would have the wisdom, the courage, and the faith to continue without him. That may be the greatest measure of leadership, not whether we are personally arriving at our destination, but whether we have helped others continue the journey. Parents know this. We spend years teaching our children values, hoping that lessons we plan today will guide them long after they leave our homes. Teachers also know this. They invest in students whose greatest accomplishments they may never witness. Communities know this. Every generation builds institutions and traditions that will serve people they will never meet. Every time we strengthen our synagogue, or teach a child, or support a Jewish learning, or when we create anything, we are bringing a more vibrant Jewish future. We are planting trees whose shade we may never sit beneath. And perhaps this is what it means to leave a legacy. Legacy is not simply what we leave behind. Legacy is what we set in motion. It is the values we transmit, the communities we build, and the people we inspire to carry the work forward. Moses teaches us that a life does not need to be complete in order to be meaningful. A faithful life is one devoted to a purpose greater than oneself. And we may not witness every dream fulfilled, but we can help make those dreams possible. As we enter the book of Deuteronomy and we stand with Moses on the threshold of the promised land, may we learn from his example to trust that the work we begin today can become a blessing for generations to come.